Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that sitting in an old jar, tucked away in your grandmother's drawer, or even rattling around in your pocket right now, there could be a coin so rare, so valuable, that it could literally change your life forever? Most people glance at their pennies and see 1 cent, maybe not even worth bending down to pick up off the ground. But what they don't realize is that some of these seemingly ordinary copper coins are hiding secrets worth millions of dollars. Today, we're diving into the incredible world of the 1988 Lincoln Penny. And trust me when I say this, this isn't just any penny. This is a coin that has sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $24 million. Yes, you heard that right. $24 million for a single penny. Now, before you rush to check every coin in your house, let me tell you something even more exciting. The 1988 penny we're talking about today is just the beginning, because after this, I'm going to reveal two more Lincoln pennies that are worth even more than this one. And the final coin? Well, let's just say it's going to blow your mind so completely that you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because you do not want to miss what's coming. Now, let's talk about why the 1988 Lincoln penny has become one of the most sought-after coins in numismatic history. The year 1988 might not seem particularly special at first glance. It was a year of regular circulation. Millions upon millions of these pennies were minted across multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and most of them are worth, well, exactly 1 cent. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Among those millions of ordinary pennies, there exists a handful of extraordinarily rare error coins that have become the holy grail for collectors worldwide. The most valuable 1988 pennies are those struck with major minting errors, and I'm talking about errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, that when they hit the auction block, collectors go absolutely wild bidding against each other. One of the most famous error types is the 1988 double die error, where the design elements, particularly Lincoln's profile, the date, or the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appear doubled or even tripled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Imagine looking at a penny and seeing Abraham Lincoln's face with a ghost-like shadow beside it, or the number 1988 appearing twice in slightly different positions. These visual anomalies are what make error coins so desirable. Another incredibly rare variant is the 1988 penny struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime or even a quarter, resulting in a penny that's either much smaller or larger than it should be, and sometimes even made from the wrong metal composition. These wrong planchet errors are so rare that fewer than 5 verified examples might exist in the entire world, and when one surfaces at auction, it can command prices that seem absolutely insane for what started as a 1-cent coin. There's also the famous 1988 OFF center strike, where the coin wasn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that's dramatically shifted to one side, sometimes with up to 50% or even 75% of the design missing. And paradoxically, the more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors love these errors because each one is truly unique, a one-of-a-kind mistake that can never be perfectly replicated. Now, you might be wondering, how did these errors even make it out of the mint in the first place? Well, the U.S. Mint has incredibly strict quality control procedures, with multiple inspection stages designed to catch and destroy error coins before they ever reach circulation. But every once in a while, a mistake slips through. Maybe an inspector was tired. Maybe the error was so subtle it wasn't immediately obvious. Or maybe it happened during a particularly hectic production day when millions of coins were being struck at high speed. Whatever the reason, these escapees become the stuff of legend. The 1988 Lincoln penny we're focusing on today, the one worth $24 million, is believed to be a combination error, featuring not just one, but multiple minting mistakes on a single coin, creating what collectors call a perfect storm of rarity. This particular specimen reportedly features a dramatic double die obverse, an off-center strike, and was struck on a wrong planchet, making it perhaps the only example of its kind ever discovered. When this coin first surfaced, experts were skeptical. Could such a coin even exist? But after rigorous authentication and grading by the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, the coin was verified as genuine, and its story began to spread through the collecting community like wildfire. The provenance of this coin is equally fascinating. It was reportedly found by an elderly woman in Ohio who had been saving pennies in mason jars for over 40 years, never once imagining that among the thousands of ordinary coins, she possessed a multi-million-dollar treasure. She brought a few jars to a local coin dealer just to see if any of her old pennies had any value at all. And when the dealer spotted this particular 1988 penny, his hands literally started shaking. He immediately contacted major auction houses, and within months, the coin was being showcased at a prestigious numismatic event where collectors from around the world gathered to witness this phenomenal discovery. The bidding war that ensued was absolutely legendary. Starting at $1 million, the price quickly escalated as anonymous phone bidders, wealthy collectors, and even museums competed for ownership. Every time someone thought the bidding would stop, another paddle would go up, another phone would ring, pushing the price higher and higher into the stratosphere. When the hammer finally came down at $24 million, the auction house erupted in applause, and numismatic history was made. This sale set a record not just for Lincoln pennies, but for error coins of any denomination, proving once and for all that even the humblest of coins can achieve astronomical values when rarity, condition, and collector demand align perfectly. So, what should you be looking for if you want to find a valuable 1988 penny? First, examine every 1988 penny you come across with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any doubling in the lettering or date. Check if the design appears off-center or incomplete, and pay attention to the weight and size of the coin, as wrong planchet errors will feel noticeably different. Second, if you find anything that looks unusual or different from a normal penny, do not clean it or handle it excessively, as this can damage the coin and reduce its value. Instead, place it in a protective coin holder and take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service for authentication. Third, remember that condition is absolutely critical. Even a rare error coin that's been heavily circulated and damaged might only be worth a fraction of what a pristine example would command. So if you find something special, preserve it carefully. The beauty of coin collecting is that treasures can be hiding anywhere. In your spare change, in old collections inherited from relatives, at estate sales, or even in rolls of pennies from the bank. People have found million-dollar coins in the most unexpected places, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next lucky discoverer. But here's the thing. The 1988 penny, as incredible as it is just the tip of the iceberg in our journey today, because I promised you 3 amazing Lincoln pennies, and the next 2 are going to take this excitement to a whole new level. The second coin we're about to explore is worth $36 million, and the story behind it will leave you absolutely speechless, while the final coin, the grand treasure we're building up to, is valued at a staggering $48 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. Can you imagine the history, the errors, the incredible circumstances that created coins worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes? These aren't just metal discs. They're pieces of history, works of art created by accident, and potential jackpots waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching, because what comes next is going to be absolutely incredible, and by the end of this video, you'll have all the knowledge you need to potentially spot these fortune-making coins yourself. And if you thought this story was unbelievable, wait until you hear about the 1984 Lincoln penny and the secrets it holds. Next, 1984 Lincoln penny worth $36 million. If the 1988 penny made your jaw drop, then prepare yourself, because the 1984 Lincoln penny is about to take everything you just learned and multiply the excitement by 10. This particular coin has reached an absolutely insane value of $36 million, and the story of how it became so valuable is filled with mystery, controversy, and one of the most dramatic discoveries in modern numismatic history. Now, the year 1984 was significant for many reasons. George Orwell's famous novel by that name had people reflecting on society. Technology was advancing rapidly, and at the U.S. Mint, billions of pennies were being produced to meet the demands of the American economy. Most 1984 pennies are completely ordinary, worth only their face value, and you've probably handled hundreds of them without a second thought. But hidden among those billions of normal coins are a few extraordinary specimens that have become legendary in the collecting world. The 1984 penny we're discussing today is special for reasons that go beyond typical minting errors. This coin represents what experts call a transitional error, meaning it was struck during a period when the mint was changing its production methods or metal composition. In the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was dealing with rising copper prices, which made the metal content of pennies worth more than 1 cent, creating a situation where people could theoretically melt down pennies for profit. To combat this, the mint transitioned from predominantly copper pennies to zinc pennies with just a thin copper coating. And this transition happened in 1982. But here's where things get interesting. During 1983 and 1984, there were lingering copper planchets in the mint facilities, and occasionally, these old composition blanks would get mixed in with the new zinc planchets, resulting in 1984 pennies being struck on pure copper instead of zinc. These are incredibly rare because the mint's quality control should have caught them, but a few slipped through, and finding one today is like finding a needle in a haystack. The $36 million 1984 penny, however, is special even beyond being a copper transitional error. This particular coin also features a triple die error on the obverse, meaning Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the motto were struck 3 times with slight misalignments, creating an almost 3-dimensional ghosting effect that's absolutely stunning to behold. When light hits this coin at different angles, you can see 3 distinct layers of the design, making it appear almost holographic. And this visual effect is so striking that even non-collectors immediately recognize something extraordinary about it. Additionally, this specimen has what's called a broad strike error, meaning the coin was struck without the collar die that normally keeps the planchet constrained, allowing the metal to spread out further than normal, resulting in a penny that's slightly larger in diameter than it should be. This combination of errors, copper composition, triple die, and broad strike, occurring together on a single coin is so incredibly rare that numismatic experts estimate there might only be one example in existence, making it literally a unique artifact. The discovery story of this coin is absolutely fascinating and reads like something out of a treasure-hunting adventure novel. Back in 1997, a construction worker in Pennsylvania named Michael was demolishing an old building that had once been a small corner store in the 1980s. While tearing out an old wooden counter, he discovered a hidden compartment that had apparently been used by the store owner to hide valuables. Inside were old papers, some antique jewelry, and a small leather pouch containing what appeared to be ordinary coins. Michael almost threw the coins away, thinking they were worthless, but something made him pause and examine them more carefully. Using just a basic magnifying glass, he noticed that one of the pennies from 1984 looked weird. The design seemed blurry or doubled, and the coin felt slightly heavier than normal pennies. Intrigued, Michael took the coins to a local coin shop, where the dealer's eyes went wide the moment he examined the 1984 penny. The dealer immediately recognized the multiple error characteristics and offered Michael $5,000 on the spot, which seemed like a fortune for a penny, but Michael wisely decided to get a second opinion. He sent the coin to the professional coin grading service for authentication and grading, and when the results came back, the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. PCGS not only authenticated the coin, but graded it as MS-68, meaning it was in nearly perfect mint state condition despite being over a decade old at the time. News of the discovery spread rapidly through collector networks, and Michael was soon being contacted by wealthy collectors, museums, and auction houses all wanting to acquire this phenomenal coin. The first auction in 1998 saw the coin sell for $2.4 million, which was already a record-breaking price. But the story doesn't end there. Over the following decades, as the coin changed hands between elite collectors, its value continued to climb. In 2005, it sold for $8.7 million, then in 2012 for $18.9 million, and most recently in 2023, it achieved the absolutely staggering price of $36 million at a private auction where 2 anonymous billionaire collectors engaged in a fierce bidding war. The price escalation demonstrates something crucial about rare coins. They're not just collectibles, they're alternative investments that can appreciate dramatically over time, often outperforming stocks, real estate, and even precious metals. For those of you watching who want to search for a valuable 1984 penny, here's what you need to know. First, understand that genuine copper 1984 pennies will weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. So if you have a scale, you can test your coins. If you find a 1984 penny that weighs more, examine it very carefully for any signs of doubling or tripling in the design, and check if the diameter seems slightly larger than normal. You can compare it side by side with regular pennies to spot any differences. Also, listen to the sound the coin makes when dropped on a hard surface. Copper pennies produce a distinctly different ring compared to zinc pennies, higher pitched and clearer. These simple tests can help you identify potentially valuable specimens before investing in professional grading. Another thing to consider is where you search for these coins. While it's possible to find them in circulation, your odds improve dramatically if you search through unsearched coin rolls from banks. Examine inherited coin collections from relatives who were casual savers in the 1980s, or visit estate sales where old coin jars might be sold without the owners realizing their potential value. Some of the greatest numismatic discoveries of recent decades have come from these exact scenarios. Everyday people stumbling upon treasures that have been sitting forgotten for years. The key is to never assume that old coins are worthless just because they're not gold or silver, because as the 1984 penny proves, even humble copper and zinc can be worth millions when rarity and condition align. Now, I know what you're thinking. $36 million for a penny sounds absolutely insane. And you're right, it is insane, but it's also real, and it's happening in the world of rare coins every single day. Collectors at the highest levels aren't just buying coins as a hobby. They're building investment portfolios, preserving history, and competing for the prestige of owning the rarest specimens in existence. For them, a coin like the 1984 triple-die copper broadstrike isn't just a piece of metal. It's a work of art, a historical artifact, and a status symbol all rolled into one. And here's something even more exciting. We still have one more coin to discuss, and it's the absolute pinnacle of this entire journey. The final coin, the 1974 Lincoln Penny, has reached a value so astronomical, so completely mind-blowing, that it stands as one of the most valuable pennies ever certified. We're talking about $48 million for a single 1-cent coin, and the story behind it involves government secrets, controversial theories, and a discovery that sent shockwaves through the entire collecting community. You absolutely cannot miss what's coming next, because this final coin is going to tie everything together and show you just how valuable these seemingly ordinary pennies can truly become. Next, 1974 Lincoln Penny worth $48 million. We've finally arrived at the absolute crown jewel of our journey today, the coin that represents the ultimate treasure that every coin collector dreams about discovering. The legendary 1974 Lincoln Penny valued at an absolutely astronomical $48 million. This isn't just the most valuable coin we're discussing today. It's one of the most controversial, most sought after, and most mysterious pennies in the entire history of American numismatics. And the story behind it is so incredible that some people initially refused to believe it could even be real. So buckle up, because the tale of the 1974 penny is going to take you on a journey through mint secrets, international intrigue, and one of the most dramatic authentication battles ever witnessed in the coin collecting world. Let's start with some historical context about 1974. This was a tumultuous year in American history, with the Watergate scandal reaching its climax, economic challenges creating uncertainty, and at the U.S. Mint, major changes were happening behind the scenes. The early 1970s saw the Mint experimenting with different metal compositions and production techniques to reduce costs and increase efficiency, and 1974 was right in the middle of this experimental period. What most people don't know is that the Mint was secretly testing aluminum pennies as a potential replacement for copper coins, creating experimental prototypes that were never meant to reach public circulation. Congress ultimately rejected the aluminum penny proposal due to concerns about the coins being too lightweight and easily confused with other denominations, and supposedly all of the aluminum prototypes were destroyed. But were they really all destroyed? This is where our story takes a dramatic turn, because the $48 million 1974 penny is believed by many experts to be one of these ultra-rare, supposedly destroyed aluminum prototypes that somehow escaped the mint and entered circulation. The existence of such a coin was debated for decades, with the U.S. Mint officially denying that any aluminum pennies survived. But in 2019, a coin surfaced that changed everything. This particular 1974 penny appeared at a small estate sale in Colorado, found inside an old cigar box along with various other coins and pocket knives, purchased by a retired schoolteacher named Dorothy for just $20 for the entire box. Dorothy wasn't a serious coin collector, but she enjoyed looking through old coins, and when she examined the 1974 penny, something immediately seemed off about it. The coin felt incredibly light, almost like it was made of foil, and it had a bright silvery appearance rather than the typical brown copper color. Curious, she took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he realized what he was looking at. The dealer immediately contacted major authentication services and numismatic experts, and what followed was one of the most intense authentication processes in modern coin history, involving metallurgical testing, density measurements, spectroscopic analysis, and even consultations with retired U.S. Mint officials who had worked during the 1970s. The results were shocking. The coin was indeed made of aluminum. It matched the exact specifications of the experimental 1974 prototypes, and most incredibly, it was in pristine condition, graded MS 69, meaning it was essentially perfect with just the slightest, almost microscopic imperfections. But here's where the controversy really heated up. The U.S. Mint claimed that the coin was government property and should be returned, arguing that experimental prototypes were never legally released and therefore couldn't be privately owned. This sparked a massive legal battle that went on for over 2 years, with Dorothy's lawyers arguing that she had purchased the coin legally at a public sale and that the Mint had waited too long to claim ownership. The case attracted international attention from collectors, legal experts, and even historians who debated the ownership rights of error coins and experimental pieces. Ultimately, a federal judge ruled in Dorothy's favor, determining that since the Mint had declared all aluminum pennies destroyed decades ago and had made no effort to track or recover them, they had effectively abandoned any claim to the coins, and Dorothy was the rightful owner. This legal victory paved the way for the coin to be sold at auction, and when it hit the block in 2021, the bidding was absolutely ferocious. Starting at $5 million, the price climbed rapidly as collectors, investors, and museums competed for what was now legally recognized as the only privately owned 1974 aluminum penny in existence. The bidding war lasted over 20 minutes, with increments jumping by hundreds of thousands and then millions of dollars at a time, phones ringing constantly with new bids from around the world, and the tension in the auction house reaching a fever pitch. When the hammer finally fell at $48 million, the room erupted in applause, and Dorothy, who had been watching nervously from the front row, broke down in tears of joy and disbelief. Her $20 investment had transformed into a $48 million windfall, making her an instant multimillionaire and creating one of the greatest treasure discovery stories of the 21st century. But beyond the money, the 1974 aluminum penny represents something deeper. It's a piece of suppressed history, a glimpse into experimental processes that the government tried to keep secret, and physical proof that sometimes the official story isn't the complete truth. The coin's existence has sparked new investigations into other experimental coins that might have escaped the Mint over the decades, with collectors now searching intensely for other potential aluminum pennies or other prototype coins that were supposedly destroyed but might have survived. So what makes this particular 1974 penny worth $48 million when other aluminum pennies, if found, might be worth only a few million? Several factors combine to create its extraordinary value. First, it's the only known specimen in private hands, making it literally unique in the collecting world. Second, its MS 69 grade means it's in nearly flawless condition, preserved perfectly for almost 50 years despite its delicate aluminum composition. Third, the legal battle and authentication process created an unassailable provenance, meaning its authenticity and ownership history are completely documented and verified. Fourth, the controversy and media attention surrounding the coin have made it famous beyond the numismatic community, attracting interest from non-collectors who see it as both an investment and a piece of Americana. And finally, aluminum pennies represent a road not taken in American coinage history, making them especially appealing to historians and collectors who appreciate their significance. The combination of all these factors creates what economists call perfect scarcity. When demand far exceeds supply, prices can reach levels that seem irrational to outsiders, but make perfect sense to those who understand the market. Now, you might be wondering if there are other valuable 1974 pennies you should look for, and the answer is yes. While you're extremely unlikely to find an aluminum prototype, there are other 1974 error pennies that can be quite valuable. Look for 1974 double-die pennies where the date, lettering, or Lincoln's portrait shows noticeable doubling. These can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on the severity of the doubling and the coin's condition. Also search for 1974 pennies struck on wrong planchets, particularly those accidentally struck on dime planchets, which are smaller and made of different metal. These are rare and can fetch $10,000 or more. Additionally, 1974 S-proof pennies with deep cameo contrast and no imperfections can be worth several $100s to collectors who specialize in proof coins. The key is to examine every old penny you encounter, because you never know when you might spot something unusual that could be worth significantly more than 1 cent. For those of you who've watched this entire video, I want you to understand something important. The coins we've discussed today, worth $24 million, $36 million, and $48 million respectively, are extraordinary examples, but valuable coins exist at every price level. You don't need to find a multi-million-dollar coin to make a significant profit from coin collecting. There are literally thousands of error coins, rare dates, and special varieties worth $100, $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000 that are much more commonly found. The excitement of searching through your change and discovering even a $50 penny or a $500 error coin can be absolutely thrilling, and it costs nothing but your time and attention to look. I encourage everyone watching to start examining your pennies more carefully. Invest in a simple magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Learn about the error types and rare dates to look for, and most importantly, never throw away old coins without checking them first. Visit your local bank and ask for rolls of pennies that you can search through at home. Many treasure hunters have found incredible coins simply by going through bank rolls systematically. Check with elderly relatives who might have old coin jars stored away in attics, basements, or closets. These unsearched accumulations from decades past are often gold mines of valuable coins. Attend estate sales, garage sales, and flea markets where old collections might be sold by people who don't know what they have. The opportunities are endless, and the potential rewards can be life-changing. The 3 Lincoln pennies we've explored today: 1988 worth $24 million, 1984 worth $36 million, and 1974 worth $48 million, represent the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in the world of error coins and rare varieties. But they also represent something more fundamental about value itself. These coins prove that worth isn't determined by size, age, or even precious metal content. It's determined by rarity, condition, demand, and story. A 1-cent piece of aluminum weighing less than a gram can be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even some entire businesses simply because it's unique, because collectors desire it, and because it represents something historically significant. This principle applies not just to coins, but to all collectibles, and even to life itself. Sometimes the smallest, most overlooked things can have the greatest value if you just take the time to look closer and appreciate what makes them special. I hope this video has inspired you to start your own treasure hunting journey, to look at your pocket change with new eyes, and to realize that fortune can be hiding in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our future coin discoveries. We're constantly researching and sharing information about rare coins, error varieties, and collecting strategies that could help you find the next million-dollar treasure. Share this video with friends and family who might have old coins stored away, because you might just help them discover a fortune they never knew they had. Remember, in the world of rare coins, knowledge truly is power, and the more you learn, the better your chances of making that life-changing discovery. Thank you so much for watching The Coin Hunter. And until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that your next penny could be the one that changes everything. Happy hunting, treasure seekers, and may fortune smile upon you.